happens? Later, anything they want it to be done. Same problem for boys and girls. The second part where we will discuss one more anatomical structure which is there for you. That is the anatomical focus. So this is the objective for you. So even though it includes, it looks very short. It includes everything. Okay. So I have tried to summarize the objective for this. To begin with, the breast or the mammary gland, it's a specialized sweat gland. Just like we have the other sweat gland, it is also sweat gland, but it is modified. Okay, it is specialized or modified itself to secrete milk, and it is well developed in case of females, but it is rudimentary in case of male. What do you mean by rudimentary? It is not developed, well developed. Okay, it's there, but it is very small. Okay, so it is, as we have studied yesterday, the organs of reproduction. The female reproductive organs are the ovaries, fallopian tube, the uterus, as well as the vagina. These are four. This acts as the accessory because actually it is after the reproduction. Once the baby comes out, the infant should be fed. Okay, so it will be fed by this gland. So that's why it is called as the accessory gland of the female reproductive system. So that's why we are studying along with this reproductive system. We are also studying the mammary gland. It is a type of gland is apocrine type. What do you mean by apocrine? What do you mean? Huh? Yeah, what do you mean by apocrine? There are different types of glands. Neighboring cell from the apex of the cell. Yeah. Some glands will just release the secretion. Okay. Some cells will totally dissolve themselves and give a secretion. Some of the cells, the apex, okay, it looks like a pyramid, and the apex top part will be released as the secretion. A part of the cell will be released as secretion. That is the apex part. Okay, on the top, the most peak of that cell will be cut and dissolve itself and gets released as the secretion. That's why it is called as the apocrine from the apex. Okay. And this mammary gland is present in the pectoral region in the superficial fascia. Usually the structures are deep inside, right? Okay. All the reproductive organs are deep inside in the pelvis, but this is in the superficial fascia. There's a difference. Okay. Then usually the most of the gland is superficial, except there is something called as the axillary tail of Spence. Okay, Spence is the scientist who found it. So that is deep inside. Except that part, the other parts will be superficial. Okay. So except the axillary tail. This is important because if there is any carcinoma of the breast or something like that, then even though it is superficial, but it will go through this axillary tail deep inside, and from there it can spread to a large extent. We'll talk about that later. Okay, that's why this axillary tail of Spence is very important. Okay. The shape, it is hemispherical in case of the non-pregnant ladies, but later it becomes pendulous because of the weight as well as the complete development as well as heaviness of the breast because of the lot of fat as well as the duct system. Okay. It extends from the, you see here in this picture, this is the first rib, this is the second rib, third, fourth, fifth, and this is the sixth rib. So it extends from the second to the sixth rib. And vertically, if you see here, from the lateral border of the sternum, this is the sternum. Okay. This is the mandibular sternum, this is the body of the sternum, this is the supporting process. This is a single bone, just lateral to the sternum, and it goes up to the mid-axillary line. There is anti-axillary line, post-axillary line, as well as the mid-axillary line. Okay, so between the anterior and posterior, that is called as the mid-axillary line. So it extends from the sternum, lateral border of the sternum, to the mid-axillary line. So it is huge. Okay. as I said, the most of the part will be superficial except the axial tail of spans, which will be deep inside and it goes up to the mid-axial line at the level of third level. Okay. The deep relations, because this is superficial, so all the structures are deep inside. Superficial is just the skin. Okay. And then in the mammary gland, deep inside are all the structures. So you should know the deep relation, because whenever there is carcinoma, as I said, it can involve the deeper structures. So depending on what structure it is involving, the conditions will be different. Okay, so you should know the deep relations of this mammary gland. One is called as the retromammary space of loose areolar tissue. Okay. So deep inside, you see here, there is a huge quantity of fat inside, and this is called as the retromammary space. You see here in this picture, here this space here, this is the cut section, and deep inside here you can see the retromammary space. Okay, so that is the space where there is large quantity of loose areolar tissue. On this, because of this retromammary space and the loose areolar tissue, the breast or the mammary gland is easily mobile. It is mobile to a certain extent. So you can freely move on this retromammary space with loose areolar tissue. Okay. Deep fascia. Deep to that is the, if you see here, this is the pectoralis major muscle they are shown. This brownish color structure. Okay. Superficial to that there will be pectoral fascia. Okay. So here will be the pectoral fascia first, and deep inside will be the pectoralis major muscle. Okay. So deep fascia will be there. That is called the pectoral fascia, and it is superficial to the pectoralis muscle. And deep inside, there are, apart from the pectoralis major, there are other muscles. It is the serratus anterior as well as the external oblique muscle. Serratus anterior is the muscle of the back, and the external oblique is the muscle of the abdomen. So all these three muscles are coming together, okay, at this particular point. So if you see the lower part, so the muscle of the abdomen also extends, and the muscle of the back also extends. So if there is any involvement of this breast, so it can involve many things. Okay. So this is how the breast is present here. Okay.
Can you move to the previous slide?
Previous line?
Yeah,
Okay.
previous slide. Just about the next line, second line, horizontal.
Horizontal? Yeah. It extends from, as I said, from the lateral border of the sternum up to the mid-axillary line. Here is the mid-axillary line. This is the axilla, right?
Yeah.
So there is a fold of muscle as well as the skin coming. This is called an anti-axillary fold. There is post-axillary fold between the mid-axillary line. So this extends up to the mid-axillary from here up to here. Okay. Anything else here?
Yeah, no.
Okay. Coming to the structure of this mammary gland. So the first thing is we have to know it is divided to three parts: skin, parenchyma, as well as stroma. So the first will be the skin. Okay, these two structures are important. One is the nipple, and the second is the area. Okay. So the nipple is in the fourth, usually in the case of non-pregnant ladies, never pregnant before, nulliparosumel, as well as in case of male, it will be in the fourth intercostal space. Okay, fourth intercostal space. Okay, but later after many pregnancies and other things, it comes down to a lower extent. Okay, and it is pierced by 15 to 20 lactiferous ducts. You see here, there are lactiferous ducts. These are ducts. See, these lactiferous ducts, when they come near the nipple, they open into a larger dilated part of the lactiferous duct. This is called as the lactiferous sinus, and each sinus will open separately into the nipple. Okay. So if you go behind, will be the lobules we talk about. Okay. So it will contain circular as well as the longitudinal muscle fibers, and it is highly richly vascular as well as highly rich in nerve supply. Okay, that's why it can spread to a large extent as well as it is very sensitive. Okay. And as I said, it is a modified sweat gland as well as sebaceous gland. So it has. So here is the nipple, and it is pierced by lactiferous ducts and the sinuses, and each will open separately into the nipple. Okay. Coming to the areola, the surrounding pigmented area is called as the areola, and this is rich in modified sebaceous glands. These are especially important in case of pregnancy. These are called as the tubercles of Montego Bay. Okay. These are very important in case of pregnancy because during pregnancy she will be using the breast. At that time there can be cracking and of the nipples. Okay. So there can be, it prevents this glands will secrete lot of oily secretion which will prevent the crackling of the nipples and the areola. So this is around in the areola where we have this tubercles of Montgomery, and they will secrete oily secretion which prevents cracking of the nipple. If not, there can be tear in the nipple and there can be bleeding and severe pain. Okay, so that's why it will be secreted by this oily secretion. Okay. And both these nipple as well as the areola is devoid of fat, even though there is huge quantity of fat here in the mammary gland, but the nipple and the areola is deficient of the fat. The second part is the parenchyma, that is the glandular tissue. Okay. You can see here these are the glandular tissue made up of branching ducts. If you can see here, these are ducts. These are called as the lactiferal duct, and each duct will go behind as a lobule here. Okay. So there are lobes here, lobes and lobules. So each duct will drain one lobe or lobule. Okay. So there are 15 to 20 lobes in each mammary gland, and all these will open into the lactiferal duct, from there into lactiferal sinus and outside. Okay. Coming to the remaining part here, that is the stroma. Apart from the skin and the parenchyma, the remaining part is called as stroma. This is the parenchyma, that is the glandular tissue. Apart from that, whatever is there, this is called as the stroma. So there are two parts here. The one is called as the fibrous stroma and the fatty stroma. Fibrous stroma is very important again because of malignancy, because I will tell you what is it first. Okay, fibrous stroma are there are subtassia extending from the pectoralis major muscle and the pectoral fascia up to this gland. Okay, from everywhere there will be subtas, and these subtas will be holding the breast position. Okay, in case of carcinoma of the breast, at that time these suspensory ligaments, okay, these are part of the suspensory ligaments of Cooper. These suspensory ligaments of Cooper, they become shortened, and this will pull the breast upwards. So there are tests for the to see whether the lady has a carcinoma or not, by lifting the hand, by making sides and downward. At that time, when the lady is moving her hand, at that time the breast will not be mobile as it should be. Okay. If you compare both the sides, if only one breast is involved, one will be easily mobile, the other will not be. Okay. Because it is fixed now because of the shortening of this suspensory ligament of Cooper. Okay. So instead they will become shorter, and then they will start pulling it deep inside. So if you see the gland, in case of cancer, it causes the fixity of the gland as well as the Cookering. If you see the surface, it will not be smooth. Okay, we have models, I think we had it before, or you will have it, the clinical skills, that if you see the models, that you see the carcinoma. At that particular area the skin is not smooth, because of the cookering of this. Okay, so that is how it will be. So that is how it can take out. Okay, this is the fibrous stroma. So there are lot of fibrous bands here, which will be holding the whole gland, and this also divides the gland into lobes and lobules. Okay, so it will confine this glandular tissue into lobes and lobules. The remaining part is large quantity of fat, which increases during pregnancy, and the glandular tissue also increases during pregnancy and lactation. Okay, initially the ducts are totally closed, these ducts, and they are not well developed. During pregnancy, these ducts will open and they start branching, and then the alveoli will open up and they start separating. Okay, all this will happen during pregnancies. Okay, and later during menopause, this will again, the breast will regenerate as well as the atrophies. Coming to the lymphatic drainage, again the lymphatic drainage is important because of the malignancy if there is any malignancy, then there are important lymph nodes which it will involve. One are the principal lymph nodes, that is the axillary group of lymph nodes. The anterior group here, the posterior, the lateral, the central as well as the apical. All these group of lymph nodes will be involved. Along with that, because it is extending from the sternum up to the axilla, so near the sternum there are other glands like the internal memory group of lymph nodes, or they are also part of the parasternum because they are behind the sternum, so that's why they are part of the parasternal lymph nodes. These also get involved. Okay, and from there it spreads to the other side. Okay, and the other group of lymph nodes it will involve are the supraclavicular, because the supraclavicular are very close here, so they will get involved in the supraclavicular also. Then the cephalic, there are cephalic dentopectoral group of lymph nodes that will also involve, and the posterior intercostal nodes. The posterior intercostal nodes are behind, so it involves even the posterior intercostal lymph nodes, and then it involves the vertebral column and sometimes the secondary nervous system. So it has a wide spread. If you don't diagnose the malignancies or the pregnancy early, it can spread to a very large extent. Okay. And it can even involve the subdiaphragmatic group of lymph nodes. It goes and get involved even below the diaphragm. So it can spread from the mammary gland to the axilla, it can spread to the opposite side, it can go back to the vertebral column, and it leads to collapse of the vertebral column itself. It can collapse the vertebrae or the intervertebral disc, and sometimes it can involve even the nervous system, as well as it can go into the abdomen, and it can involve the subdiaphragmatic group of lymph nodes from there into the abdomen. Okay, so it has a wide range of spread if you don't diagnose it early. Clinical importance, as I said, because of the malignancy, the lymphatic area is very important. So you should know the lymphatic drainage of this organ. Coming to the blood supply, as I said, it is a highly vascular organ. So it is supplied by the internal thoracic artery. There is one artery here, this is called the internal thoracic artery, and it will be giving the intercostal arteries here. Okay, so gives especially the second to sixth intercostal arteries will be supplied, and the intercostal arteries will be supplied this mammary gland. Okay, so this is from the internal thoracic artery. You see here there is one artery inside. So that is called the internal thoracic artery that will supply. Along with that, there is the lateral thoracic artery here that also supplies. Then there is the superior thoracic artery, then the acromial thoracic artery. The artery here, which is here, which is the acromial thoracic artery, as well as even the posterior intercostal arteries, which are the intercostal spaces, they also supply this mammary gland. So it is highly vascular organ supplied by many arteries. Lymphatic drainage is very similar to that of the arteries, so the names go by the names of the arteries. Okay, so the internal thoracic vein, the superficial veins, so that the thoracic axilla, so the posterior intercostal, all will be very similar to that of the arteries. Again, the importance of this venous drainage is again the carcinoma of the mammary gland, because the venous drainage along the direction of the venous drainage, especially the posterior intercostal arteries, as I said, they will be draining even the malignant tissues along the posterior intercostal vein, and from there it goes into the vertebral column. And there is a special venous plexus around the vertebral column, and from there it involves the vertebral column itself, as well as it can spread sometimes even into the central nervous system. So it can spread to the vertebra as well as to the nervous system. This is the importance of the venous drainage. Coming to the nerve supply, as I said, it is richly supplied by the nerves also. So it will be supplied by the anterior and lateral cutaneous nerves. Why cutaneous nerves? Why cutaneous nerves? Nerves which are supplying the skin. Why these cutaneous nerves are supplying the mammary gland? Areola is there. Okay, then I said because it is in the yellow strip. It is in the superficial fascia. As I said, it is in the superficial fascia. So that's why it is supplied by the cutaneous nerves. starting from this 4th to 6th intercostal nerves, or will be supplying this organ because it is present in the superficial fascia. If it is deep inside, then the nerves will be supplied. Okay. Coming to the last part, which is again clinically important, is something called as the development part, where there is something called as the milk ridge. Okay, milk ridge or milk line extend from the axilla up to the inguinal region. Okay. This is the line through which the mammary gland will be developed. So usually in case of the human being, in case of animals, there can be multiple breasts along this line. It is called as the milk line. But in case of the humans, this whole thing will degenerate except at this particular point. Okay. So only one on each side will be present. But in case of sometimes there can be anomalies, developmental anomalies. That's why you should know this milk ridge. So sometimes there can be congenital anomalies like multiple nipples. This is called as the polythelia. Thelia means the nipple. So this is called as the multiple nipples. There can be second or third nipple. Okay, because of the incomplete degeneration of this nipple. Okay. Sometimes there can be micromastia. Mastia means breast. So it is small breast. Micro means small. Or small breast. Sometimes it can be opposite. Macromastia. So there can be huge breast where there will be hypertrophy of the breast. Okay. Sometimes there can be even male breast. This is called as the gynecomastia. The males will have a well-developed breast. Okay. So this can be probable, and this is called as the gynecomastia in case of males. Okay. And sometimes there can be retracted nipples or the inverted nipples, again because of the incomplete development. Sometimes there can be second or the third breast. Along with the first breast, there can be a small breast in the lower part. So that's why whenever you are treating, you should know this milk line, which is there, which is also called as the milk line. This is the congenital anomalies because of the incomplete degeneration of this milk line. Okay. So this about the mammary gland. If you have any questions, you can ask.